Ravens fans, I'm with draft expert Bucky Brooks from the NFL Network. And Bucky, when you look at the Ravens class, last year when we had this conversation, you told me Kyle Hamilton could be the guy. And at that time, everyone was saying maybe top 5, top 10 pick for him. So are you going to go 2 for 2 here? Who are you projecting to the Ravens? I mean, what do you think right now?
Now, this is harder for the Ravens because you have so much change. You have Todd Monken coming in as an offensive coordinator. He's a guy who has done a really good job of having balanced offenses throughout his career. And then you have the uncertainty at quarterback. And so let's assume Lamar Jackson is back and Monken wants to kind of spruce up this offense. Well, now you have to begin the conversation, do they take another receiver early? And if they do take a receiver, which one is most likely to pop? Because when I look at their situation, like, yeah, you got Rashad Bateman, but do you have anybody else that can legitimately threaten the field? And so in this class, they're more of the vertical playmakers that you're talking about. Quentin Johnson will be one of those guys. Jalen Hyatt will be another guy from Tennessee. Or you have, like, the slot receivers. Jackson Smith Enigma will be someone of interest. Jordan Addison, he will be of interest. And then Zay Flowers from Boston College. And so when I think about the Ravens, the guy that probably would be the best fit, I would think Zay Flowers from Boston College.
Okay, we'll see if you go 2 for 2 this year.
I doubt it. I doubt it because who knows?
Yeah, just this receiver position as a whole, it does not seem like there's much consensus on. Everyone's got kind of a different flavor in terms of who they like of those guys. Who do you like?
So Zay Flowers is one of my favorites. He's a favorite because he reminds me a little bit of Antonio Brown in terms of all the spectacular playmaking ability that he brings to the table. Outstanding route runner, terrific with the ball in his hands. Jackson Smith Enigma really is good, but he's probably a slot only. Terrific route runner, great hands. Production was off last year because he dealt with an injury. But 2 years ago, you talk about someone that has 1,600 yards, so he can get down. Jalen Hyatt is interesting because, look, he finished with maybe 16 touchdowns this year, 1,600 yards. But when you go back to his high school, I think he scored 57 touchdowns. Normally, guys that put the ball in the paint at every level. And so those guys are all interesting to me.
You're pulling up the high school stats. I love it, Bucky.
Sometimes you never know.
So on the other side of the ball, cornerback, the Ravens have a long history of drafting cornerbacks and having successful guys like Marlon Humphrey and Jimmy Smith, and you could go back through the history of the franchise. If they go that route in the first round and Mark Peters is a free agent, maybe they decide to go there. Who are some corners that you like there in the late first or that 22nd pick?
Yeah, no, it's a really good class down late. Cam Smith will be someone that'll be in that conversation, kid from South Carolina. You'll have Joey Porter Jr. potentially there, even though his dad played for the rival. He kind of has that profile, long, rangy, lengthy playmaker. You have some other guys. Was it Deontay Banks from Maryland, who's another 6'2", big corner. A lot of it depends on, stylistically, how do they want to begin to play. They've always been really good in terms of having guys that can cover and can take the ball away. Some of these guys, you got 2 different categories. You got the big guys that can play press coverage, and then you have the guys that are ball hawks. I think as the Ravens evolve, because I kind of feel like they're at a crossroads in terms of how they want to play. Last year, you got a different defensive coordinator. This year, you got a new offensive coordinator. It'd be interesting to see how they put the piece of the puzzle together.
And lastly, at running back, Bijan Robinson, maybe he'll be there at the end. Some people think he'll be a top 5, top 10 type of talent. But do you take a running back that high? What do you make of him and whether he can make sense there for this offense?
I think a lot of it depends on who's at quarterback and what is the commitment level going to be to the running game. In the past, it had been a heavy commitment to the running game. I would say, yes, you take him. You take a Bijan Robinson because you put him and Lamar Jackson. He is going to be the beneficiary of Lamar Jackson threatening the defense. If Lamar's not there, then it becomes a different thing because now you're trying to figure out, well, what is it? It's going to be a pass-first offense? Is it going to be an offense that's balanced? Do you really need a high-end back to do? A lot of it will be determined on once they settle in with the quarterback. Once you get that domino to drop, then it's easy to figure out who's going to be the player. But Bijan Robinson certainly would be a big-time player if they took him there at the bottom of the first round.
Awesome. Well, Bucky, we appreciate your insight, your analysis, and we'll see if you nail it again this year. Thank you for the time.
Thanks.